Hi everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo, and got a lot of videos I need to get cranking out here and get caught up. So I got another installment here of vinyl in the mail. I've been sitting on these records that I got. I actually got them a couple weeks ago, and I've been listening to them. Really wanted to get a sense of them, and it's really good stuff. It's about this band called the Staat, and they're from the Netherlands and formed in year 2006. And they're fronted by a fellow by the name of Tor Florum, who is this, well, at least in videos, he looks like he's, very tall, and he's got um, this mien about him that is very imposing. Um, and the albums that I got were this one, Machinery, okay, and I also then got, which I think Machinery is their second one, and then this one, which is Icon, interesting album, and then this one is Bubblegum, and it's got this lenticular cover. It's a gatefold. Actually, this an Icon. They're all gatefolds, but this is a double album, but it's three sides, with the fourth side being etched with the band members or whatnot. And I tell you, this band was recommended to me by a colleague, and I started listening to their music on YouTube, and very impressed. It's a sound that is something to me very fresh and new that I haven't heard from performers perhaps since Scissor Sister. So very innovative in my view. I've read some reviews, and there are some reviewers who say that they're not very innovative, that they're, in fact, perhaps even a bit derivative. I don't know. Their music strikes me as something very different, although they take from a variety of genres and kind of make them their own, whether it's going to be industrial post-punk or even some bluesy melodic tunes to even very heavily synth-based, even popish type songs. But they all have this element that is them, the Staat. It's their sound. Anyway, with Machinery, all right, so Machinery really kicks off strong with the I See is the title, not title song, but the first song. It's got very strong driving bass guitar and guitar and bass guitar in that opener. And then you go into the song Sweatshop, which is this song about people who go to the gym all the time and are constantly working out at the gym rats. And the rhythm of the music is very much oriented to someone who is on a treadmill or elliptical machine, and then it just has that intensity of uh, uh, of some kind of some of those more hardcore workouts. The song, then it switches gears and come to the song "I'll Never Marry You," which actually is "I'll Never Marry You," and the singer, the narrative voice, is singing to marriage, that or love, excuse me, is singing to love. I will never marry you. So we start to feel like there's a bit of disconnecting, and this develops later in the other songs into a sense of nihilism, even in some of the songs. But the switch with I'll Never Marry You is we get a more jangly, popish sound that even has kind of a Roy Orbison feel to it, with a style that, might be reminiscent of the Smithereens or REM. Um, but it also has this appeal and a sense of place where it would be perfectly fine as the opening soundtrack to a James Bond film. Really interesting song. And then it moves into this very hard and banging in terms of structure song about called Old MacDonald Don't Have No Farm No More. And it's just boom, 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 this driving rhythm through it all. And the song seems to be a parody of religious ritual in terms of killing for food. So it seems to be taking a hit at both the kosher style of diet and halal. And this sort of repeating and kind of mimicking and making fun of this notion that someone can, look up to the sky, ask for permission, and then permission granted, then to kill the animal for a feast. And then, of course, there's the reference of don't want no pig. And so, interesting thing, too, about the whole concept of this type of religious ritual killing. Someone once told me many years ago that even within the Mormon faith, in the covenant and I forget what the book, something in covenants. But anyway, there's a reference in there that Mormons, I guess, are not supposed to eat meat unless they kill the animal themselves. So these, religious connections, and that's what they seem to be, in my view, making fun of in this song. And then, there's I'm a Rat, which is a simple melodic beat with falsetto vocals. Keep Me Home is this dark dirge that initially I kind of thought it was about kidnapped children who are forced to be soldiers. But then there were some lines talking about, wanting to go home to his wife or something. But it is definitely a song about capturing people and forcing them into like being a slave soldier. So there's a lot of these dark themes. There's some fast instrumental rhythms for the song Tumbling Down. There's this really frenetic psycho disco beat for psycho disco. Excuse me. Toward the end of this album, you've got the song Serial Killer, which is a standard hard rock song, but it just kind of seems like then the descent into nihilism is, just about complete, because so many of these songs are describing people and characters who feel unbound by any societal norm, and are chaotic, anarchic, unpredictable, and completely self-serving. And yet there are some songs that kind of come through as being taking advantage perhaps of that nihilistic perspective, but having a sense of morals surrounding them. So it's an interesting mix of songs. Then you go to the next one, Icon, which the name Icon is making a reference to both something being iconic, but also to being, icon. I am a trickster, a manipulator, and I am trying to fool you. And, again, some really wild ass songs. I mean, if you look up a music video for Make Way for the Passenger, you have these scenes of people riding, this guy riding a motorcycle down a street. Looks like it's St. Louis because you can see the arch. And it's, again, a very frenetic beat. And then in the middle of the video, where there's like um, a change, in the sound of the song, the camera person who is on another motorcycle trailing the guy doing wheelies, etc., down the street, is hit by a truck at this intersection. I mean, you see the truck come in, and then there's this tumbling. I have no idea if this was staged or what. Um, but it's just like, whoa, and then the music is sort of like, it slows down and it starts to gather itself from that frenetic pace that was going on, and then the song, it starts to build up intensity again, as it appears that perhaps the people that were on the motorcycle, maybe they weren't hurt or something. I mean, you can see people coming by and checking on them, and then it reverses. It goes back to the rhythm of the opening part of the song, and then the video now is reversing, going backwards to the beginning, and then it starts again, and then the song finishes again with that collision. So it's just like totally crazy. And then the other song that I found really noteworthy is Input Source Select, which essentially is describing a situation that whatever our worldview and our knowledge of the world, it can be really confined based on what we select as our information source. So it's talking about perhaps, how people become compartmentalized in the way they digest news events, because they will pick just one news source because it fits. They're not using a news source or a group of news sources to take in a variety of information to then use to adapt their worldview. No, they have a fixed worldview, and they look for that news outlet that confirms that worldview. And it also goes into how hucksters, and not just in news, but hucksters in terms of commercialism, etc., and and then the whole system of like TED Talks and that kind of thing, where people are going out and sort of selling ideas, and again, people basically are selecting the information from the world that fits with their preconceived idea. So there's there's this borderline sense of nihilism continuing in their music, but also this awareness and exposure of just how close-minded people are. Bubblegum is a heavier and more industrial, a lot of syncopated rhythms. There are even songs that are kind of come off like very militaristic, like a march. There are some similarities. I find, for example, the song Mona Lisa kind of reminds me a little bit of the band The Call. And then the song Out of Your Mind, or Out of You Mind. Let me double check on that. Out of Your Mind. Yeah, that kind of has a little bit of a flavor of Rage Against the Machine. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that that the Staat is being derivative and using a style or sound or technique that perhaps another artist had used. they're taking these styles and definitely making it their own sound. In my opinion, there are critics who think that they are a bit derivative, but I don't really get that at all. The song Pikachu, for example, really strong bass and synth beat to it, kind of an industrial dance beat, and also the way the vocals fit in. And it kind of reminds me a little bit in the sound of Lady Gaga's Poker Face in the style of delivery. Then the song Phoenix, it's a truly, truly grand song that orally kind of creates this image of this very fantastic mythical resurrection, sort of as ominous as Mozart's Don Giovanni. Really amazing music. And then we've got the songs are these synth pop songs that have very catchy hooks to them, very much like Erasure might have done, but they're delivered again with this bass and drum rhythm that just is really pushing, the song through, despite that sort of melodic catchiness that might be going on with the synthesizers. There's an idea too that it kind of makes me think of the electronic band Underworld, although there's a little bit more sense of danceability to the music. And then some of the other grooves on here, they're kind of old school, and like you might expect from a band like Deep Purple. So anyway, really interesting band. And I bought these 3 albums at once because I couldn't find them locally in local record stores. So I got them from a German seller, and even with shipping, they were very reasonably priced. And I'm just really finding this band interesting and unique and innovative in a way. It's fresh, but it's also got this, as I say, this dark element of nihilism that it's just kind of confounding and perplexing in the way that they deliver some of these songs and the messages that they hold. Anyway, yeah, leave a comment in the down under if you listen to the Staat. How about some of the other albums that they've released? These are the only 3 that I have right now. But please leave a comment and share the video, please. And I hope you come back and watch more videos that I make. Please remember to always enjoy your music.